for Todd to just literally have a stream where all he does is play like the greatest hits from the Beatles while he faces off versus Undead.
I'm not sure if that would make him happy. All right, here we go. Bottom left side of Eternal Empire. This time we're looking at the main base of the Brazilian Terran player. It is Kelazhur.
And up in the top right-hand side of the map, we have the red Zerg player. It goes by the name of TheZergLord. Is that? Oh my god! I think that clan decal. They have a mask. Is that a COVID mask? Wait, because like at first I thought it was just one of those like ninja masks. Yeah. I actually think it's a COVID mask. Oh, that's so cool. They literally added or like photoshopped on just a COVID mask onto the skeleton. So I don't think actually has the ears to keep that on. That's really cute.
I don't know if it's breathing either, right? Like if it's dead. Well, what do I really know?
The breath is definitely toxic. So.
All right, Fear Dragon, tell me why Kelazhur will not go Hellion Banshee in this game. That's what I want to know.
He will.
Yeah, that's what I think too. But give me one reason why he will not go Hellion Banshee.
Because he wants to go for a battlecruiser opening. I don't know. Like this map isn't actually terrible for something like that, but yeah.
I just feel yeah, it's just so incredibly likely that he goes Hellion Banshee because then he's going to get some map presence early on with the Hellions, and the Banshees are going to keep him safe against Roach all-ins. And the only way I really see Kelazhur lose this best of 3, and not to be a Debbie Downer, is just that if ZergLord does some crazy all-in and catches Kelazhur off guard. But how do you all-in the Hellion Banshee opening? I feel that Terran just has too much vision there. But we also know, like, I think the ZergLord is really good. I'm definitely not trying to be disrespectful. He can absolutely play some proper macro games. I've played a lot of games against him. He has taken plenty of my MMR. It's just that Kelazhur is on another level. And just sitting at home trying to play like Mutterling Bane or Roaches, I feel like Kelazhur is just going to pick you apart.
Yeah, Kelazhur is definitely a pretty strong player that is going to be tough to contend with. So we'll see what ZergLord's plan is going to be. But like you kind of said, I feel like TVZ, unless you do go for one of those super early all-ins, which probably won't do super well versus one of these like Hellion Banshee openings from Kelazhur if he decides to go for that. Kind of just reacting a bit to whatever the Terran player does early on. It's not like the Zerg player really gets to dictate the pace of a TVZ all that often.
I would have loved to see something super crazy like a Nidus play or something. Like, I know that this map is a bit too big to potentially run Zerglings or Roaches to the other side of the map. I would have just loved to see him go for something wild, you know, ask Fly, give me your best all-in against Terran, and then put a nice spin onto it. And if you can keep Kelazhur in the dark with some good queen positioning, maybe you can make some magic happen. So far, everything that we've been talking about seems kind of irrelevant, other than the point that Kelazhur is indeed opening up Hellion Banshee. And it seems like the ZergLord is going to try to play a normal game. You know what, Ravi? I hate to see it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I still feel like there's different ways you can mix things up and kind of play outside of the norms once you get up your layer tech and everything as a Zerg player, but definitely still going to have to wait to see what the actual plan there is. For now, it's just going to be non-stop drones with a few lings here and there and some queens trying to position to deal with any of those Hellions. And we're just going to have to make sure that the spore crawlers and whatnot come down to help deal with the Banshee for now.
And there's only 4 Hellions, actually. So Kelazhur is not going up to 6 or 8, but he is getting his Cloak Banshee. Now we have a Baneling nest going down by the ZergLord. Maybe he's worried that he missed an armory and that Kelazhur will do something very wild with Hellbats. We know that that is not happening.
Yeah, I think that's something you always have to be careful about with Kelazhur. It's not every Terran player, but I feel like most Terran players are pretty good at just mixing it up with some of their build orders. Throwing in some of those Hellbat all-ins or like a quick battlecruiser play and everything. I feel like Kelazhur definitely one of those diverse players. Oh, ZergLord Kelazhur's like, wait, you're not pulling the drones?
Yeah. It's like, no Zerglings, Queen's out of position. It's like, all right, I'll fire one more time. What I do like is that he went for the safety spore in between the paces. He's like, just in case he's got some wild opening with a lot of Hellions and then Banshees and goes for my Queens and suddenly this game spirals out of control, I'll get the safety spore up that I can always fall back to. So he's just playing a macro game, and the Queen positioning has been good so far. It's just important that he keeps track of those Banshees as well. Once Kelazhur has 2 of them, which is at this point 1 Hellion goes down as well, yeah.
Yeah, for those who were wondering what was going on over there, Kelazhur didn't want to have to use the scan just to kill off that 1 creep tumor, so he's attacking the rocks and using that splash damage. It actually does draw the Queens further forward, so they're outside the range of that spore. Banshee's able to get a bit of damage on. One of them goes down to half hit points, but maybe finds an opportunity to snipe off 1 or 2 drones.
No, well, it's actually really hard to kill drones that are going into the extractor, because then a couple of your shots are going to whiff. So honestly, pretty good so far by the DreamHack. Now these aliens are going to get in and we'll get a couple of drones, but none of this is that bad. Like, this is not as bad as Ryu had it yesterday, where he ended up losing like 18, 19 drones. It seems that Kelazhur did not expect that Spore Crawler to be there between the natural and the 3rd base. So he's like, okay, I'm going to go for the Queens, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you've got a Spore there as well. Then he took some damage on his Banshee, and he's like, well, I guess now it's going to be a lot harder to really dive in the natural and then maybe go into the main base as well. So far, so good. The DreamHack is sort of proving me wrong. He's like, no, I can play a normal game. I hope that he can keep it up.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need to try and keep it up, because Kelazhur, while he has not been able to do tons and tons of damage, I love the image of those 2 Marines stimming and stopping right outside the range of that lane. But I was gonna say, while he hasn't done a ton of damage, he also hasn't committed a whole lot just yet. Didn't really end up losing the Banshees or anything. So this is all gonna culminate with this kind of attack where DreamHack is really gonna be tested now. And oh man, if he gets set up on the high ground over here above the hatchery.
Yeah, and losing that Overlord as well was bad, because I actually thought he was going to be supply back for a long time, but he had a couple of Overlords on the way, but the tank is just a little bit too big, man. This base is so important. The Banshees, though, just flying into the Queen, so 1 Banshee does go down. If the DreamHack can keep this base alive, I believe in his chances in this game. He does have bailing speed, but you don't want to lose that hatchery, my friend. He has a couple of Queens to drop transfusions as well. He's going for it, Robbie.
C-Check's gonna focus fire down some of the Banelings to get 1 shot off, gets a 2nd shot off. The Banelings are just so far away from the Marines. Even with the tanks cleaned up, that still means the Medivacs can just pick up the Marines, get out of there, and there's still 16 Marines and both Medivacs alive. It looks like the DreamHack does defend, but I still feel like there was a lot of losses to take just in terms of Banelings and army supply.
Yep, but I'm just happy to see that he's still alive, because he had quite a bit of money in the bank. Unfortunately, he did hit another supply block here. We need to stop supply blocking ourselves, my friend. Those Marines are not in range of the hatch, so he doesn't really
He's just going to bait the army over here, and then he's going to load up and go down to low ground. No, not going to go down low ground.
Yeah, still Queens there and stuff as well. I think that's a little too much. I'm obviously starting to get worried about... Oh my goodness, another supply block. Stop it! I mean, he's been supply blocked for like a solid minute in his game at this point. At least he started the +2 upgrades. He's quite far behind on this.
Oh god, losing all those lings as well is going to be painful. And you're right, like these supply blocks are definitely hurting. And it's not all just because like, oh my god, he's just slipping on his macro and everything. It's, a lot of it is also Kelazhur picking off all these overlords like you were talking about. But man, now we're going to end up having the Banshee moving back into the main base as the Marines move over toward the 4th base and the 5th base, killing off creep tumors, scanning and killing off even more, getting a cancel over there. The rest of the army for Kelazhur is moving at the same time. The DreamHack, he's going to have to keep up with a lot of different action fronts.
Yep. I mean, and now he's just starting to fall pretty far behind on the supply. Speaking of Letot, 61 Marines, 2 Widow Mines on the map as well. Okay, one of them might have actually accidentally picked up a couple of Marines. Kelazhur moving just a couple of Marines forward to push back that creep a little bit, but look at the split on these Marines. A couple of Baning connections are decent. We do have a few more Banes coming in from the right side. The DreamHack.
It's enough in like the technical sense. There's only 5 or 6 Marines left over. But the problem is Kelazhur still has a huge rally of units coming across the map. He had a 4th base behind all this. He's got 2-2 versus 1-1, and now it's Marines fighting versus Mutas with no Banelings actually finished right now. And all the Banelings are actually morphing in right in front of these Marines. So it's not looking good for the ZergLord.
Yep, the Muda is getting picked off as well. Widow Mines are going to blow up the last few Zerglings and Banelings, and that is going to be it in a very clean 10 minutes. Kelazhur will take the 1-0 lead. I mean, it wasn't bad. The initial defense wasn't bad by the ZergLord. I think he did a good job against those Banshees. It's very easy to just fall apart against the Banshee control of somebody like Kelazhur, but I think that backup Spore Crawler really kind of made his life a bit easier. It's just in the end, Kelazhur is too good, man. I know that I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but please do something wild and crazy in Game 2, even if that's not your cup of tea. At least against Protoss, I can confirm it absolutely is his cup of tea. He has made way too many Roachling all-ins against me 3 minutes into the game. I don't know what his default builds are against Terran, but he's just not winning a game like this. It's just, you cannot breach a skill gap that is that big. And the ZergLord is a 6,000 MMR player. That's really good. It's just that Kelazhur on his good days is a 7,000 MMR player. He's been there, and well, no matter where you are on the ladder, think of yourself against somebody with 1,000 MMR more than you. That's really hard to overcome in standard, normal, straight-up games.
Yeah, I think you pretty much said it also before, where it is just ZergLord did a great job with the early game, but if you go into the early game or into the mid game and the late game against Kelazhur with an even situation because he played really well, Kelazhur is going to get stronger there. Like, this is still going to be a massive problem. So you got to get into that stage if you're going to go there with a bit of a lead. Like, I think that's the way ZergLord has to play it. I agree with trying to be aggressive. We're moving on to Pillars of Gold. Maybe a map that he feels a bit more comfortable doing something a little bit more aggressive on. Eternal Empire. I know a lot of people like that high ground defensive position and like the third base and everything. At least this third base is a little bit more open.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday we saw Ryu make some magic happen with the roaches on this one, and I was absolutely loving that. That was one of my highlights of yesterday. I think the ZergLord is quite comfortable with the roaches as well. What are you giggling at? Oh, that was epic. That was epic.
I agree with you. Just as soon as you talk about Ryu, I'm like, yeah, well, of course he did. No one 30-0s are you.
I mean, this man has learned his lesson yesterday the hard way. Top right side of Pillars of Gold. We're looking at the main base of our Brazilian Terran player who's currently residing in the Netherlands. It is Kelazhur.
And down to the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have the red Zerg player. He is the ZergLord.
I do feel that this has always been a problem for certain Zerg players that are a bit cheeky in general and like to be aggressive and have a lot of all-ins up their sleeve, that it seems that ZVT is the weakest matchup for all of them, right? It's hard to find like reliable all-ins against Terran players.
Yeah, I would definitely say the word reliable is the key word there, because it is one of my little pet peeves where it's like Terran players always say, there's literally not an all-in you can do versus Terran players. I'm like, I mean, check out some of the laser or blinds builds and stuff, but yeah, there isn't a reliable one that you can constantly throw out that your opponents are always going to have to do like a big skill check, it feels like, versus there's always a lot of those times where if they have a sense it's coming, there's a hard shutdown opportunity there for like the early game stage stuff. So I'd love to see ZergLord throw out something there, but it's gonna be tough. And maybe one of those attacks just comes a bit later on. Maybe it's just like delayed lair and flood in, take out or deny the third base or something like that. But I don't know. The ZergLord's probably gonna have a better sense of them than I do.
Yep. It's just it's kind of hard for me because I haven't seen that many of his ZVTs in the past, and I do believe, I mean, last game it all looked pretty legit. It looked normal. He wasn't really trying to do anything funky or cut corners. Like, yeah, he played it safe with that fourth Spore Crawler. I mean, 4 Spore Crawlers is quite a bit. Other than that, all of it was fine. It's just that he hit a couple of supply blocks, and I think the most telling thing is always, where does the action take place? Do we remember a single fight on the bottom side of the map? Do we ever remember the Mudas?
I do remember one, and it was when all of the Lings went straight into the Marines.
Yeah, that left a circle of blood on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that was a fight or a mess.
It was a sacrifice. Yeah.
That's the only battle that really happened on the bottom side of the map. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
As well. And I mean, like, the Mudas never made it past the halfway point, and Once again, all of this has nothing to do with ZergLord being bad. It's just Kelazhur is so damn good. He plays at a very high pace. It's just like, it feels like you can't catch up. Like, I play against these guys myself, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I know what I want to do. And then you play against somebody who's as good as Kelazhur, you just can't do it. They're too fast, and you're always trying to catch up. And you're like, okay, now I'm going to... never mind.
No.
Then you got to do something else again. The second drone gets picked off as well. Ravi, this is not good.
This is tilt-inducing right now. Reaper's going to regenerate some hit points, but thankfully the Queen will guarantee that third hatchery does finally go down. But it's going down almost 30, 40 seconds late. And I mean, contextually, it's only 3.5 minutes into the game, Kev. Like, that's almost like a fourth of the game has passed extra before that hatchery went down.
Yep, that is not going to help the economy of the ZergLord. Once again, it is going to be Heli and Banshee. You know, I feel like I deserve bonus points for that prediction, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. I definitely haven't hit my prediction of the 3x Reaper, but...
No, not even close.
Just, you know, I feel like whenever I watch Diego play, I'm just like, this isn't in the meta anymore, but you're still doing it, and I respect it.
Yeah, I mean, he did do it yesterday in your defense.
Yeah.
But... oh, well, he's going to switch it up a little bit. This time there is a armory going down, so... but... is he be okay? He already has 6 Hellions, and he's going into 8 Hellions as well. This could be a quick one. Because this time, last game, 4 minutes and 25 seconds or 30 seconds, the Bailing Nest went down. This time, we don't have a Bailing Nest, we don't have a Roach Warren. This could be bad news for the ZergLord if he doesn't drop one of those buildings real soon.
Yeah. Getting up another Spore Crawler just here between the bases yet again. So that's the 4th Spore Crawler setup you were talking about last game on Eternal Empire. That armory, it's getting closer finishing. It's going to be finishing up in the next 5 or 10 seconds. The Hellions are already running on in, finding a few drones here. Roast 1 backs out without taking any damage. Well, at least the initial Hellions don't take any damage.
Queen is losing a fight against Banshee in the main base.
Uh-oh.
Yep, it goes down, and the Hellions have morphed into Hellbats. They're going to try to get on top of their Queens, and this is going to get really ugly, I think.
Yeah, Lings versus Hellbats, never a fight you really want to have to take. And Queens even getting body blocked a little bit by these Hellbats as they try and retreat. 1, 2, 3 Queens, 4 Queens end up falling here, and now it's just a barren wasteland in terms of Queens, and it's just pure Lings versus Hellbats. Kev, usually you know how that one ends.
Yeah, I mean, the drones can help out. No, the drones are not going to help out. You don't really want to fight Hellbats with the drones. More Zerglings are just running straight into the Zergling barbecue. The last Queen goes down. The ZergLord knows that this one is all over. GG.